During the university military training, the instructor assigned to our class was a handsome guy, all the classmates liked him, and my roommate even said she would marry no one but him, out of kindness. I reminded my roommate that the instructor and we were not on equal footing, and that we didn't understand him at all. In the end, she slapped me hard across the face. "You Tao, why are you so nosy?" My classmates mocked me. "You're just putting on airs, aren't you jealous that Yao Yao is prettier than you and more favored by the instructor?" Ignoring their sarcastic ridicule, I insisted that my roommate stay away from the instructor. Unexpectedly, after military training ended, the instructor ended up together with another classmate. My roommate blamed me for ruining her love life and pushed me off the rooftop. The parents reported it to the police, but the classmates said they knew nothing. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my roommate took a liking to the instructor. My roommate shook off my hand. "You Tao, what do you mean by that? How did the instructor offend you? Why are you talking about him like that?" This time, I smiled brightly. "Nothing, I was just kidding." Lin Yao Yao looked at me suspiciously, then said angrily, "The instructor is so nice. Why would you make a joke like that?" The corner of my mouth twitched. In my previous life, I had merely said, "You can know a person's face but not their heart," and Lin Yao Yao thought I was speaking ill of the instructor. Even after I tried to smooth things over later, Lin Yao Yao still said I was slandering the instructor and even went to complain to him. Fortunately, the instructor wasn't there at the time, and Lin Yao Yao later forgot about it too. Otherwise, would definitely have been made to suffer during military training. "I'm sorry, I went too far with the joke," I said slowly. "What's the use of apologizing to me?" Seeing that my tone had softened, Lin Yao Yao became even more arrogant. "You should go apologize to the instructor." Okay, I'll go apologize to him right away, then I'll also." As soon as I finished speaking, I immediately walked out the door, not giving Lin Yao Yao a chance to catch up with me, because there was no way I would apologize to the instructor. Agreeing to Lin Yao Yao was just to keep her steady. I remember that when we had just moved into the dorm in my previous life, we talked about our respective views on love, and I don't know who brought up that line that was circulating online: falling in love with a teacher in school, falling in love with an instructor during military training, falling in love with a doctor while seeing a doctor. Before I could even complain, Lin Yao Yao said with longing, "How romantic, for love, to go against the world and abandon everything. I also hope to have a love like that." Back then, I thought she had just read too many novels and was full of fantasies about love. Only later did I realize she was serious. She was even willing to risk everything for this love, even killing someone. In the early morning, the sun wasn't too strong, but there were a lot of mosquitoes. I stayed under the shade of the tree for a while, and after getting bitten more than a dozen times, I walked back to the dormitory. Before the door was even opened, I could already hear people talking inside. "The instructor is really handsome." Exactly. "It's a pity he'd definitely never go for someone like me. Only Yao Yao has the looks for it." "Oh, what are you talking about?" Lin Yao Yao's voice was shy and bashful. "What's there to be afraid of?" I heard the roommate named Xin Shui say, "My cousin fell in love with her drill instructor during military training last year, and now she's so happy." I pressed my lips together. "In my previous life, I made my first mistake here," I directly retorted. "It's against the rules for military training instructors to date students." And as a result, I was resented by Lin Yao Yao and blamed by my roommates. This time, I simply waited quietly outside the door. After the romantic love story was finished and the morning training was about to begin, I knocked on the door. Their discussion had already ended. I closed the door and put on my military training uniform. "Where's my sunscreen?" I suddenly realized the sunscreen I had put on the desk was gone. It was the same in my previous life. On the first day of military training, my sunscreen vanished without a trace, and only later did I find out that Lin Yao Yao had secretly taken it. When I complained about sunburn, she instead tattled to the instructor, saying, "Some girls are too delicate," still putting on sunscreen during military training, which led to the entire class of girls being punished by standing in formation for an hour, while I was ostracized by my classmates as a result. After Lin Yao Yao pushed me off the rooftop, not a single person even stood up to speak for me. "Who saw my sunscreen?" I raised my voice and asked, my gaze sweeping over everyone in the dormitory. Lin Yao Yao didn't even turn around. "Who would take your cheap stuff? Maybe you just threw it somewhere and forgot." I walked straight over to Lin Yao Yao's locker. In my previous life, it was only after I was pushed off the rooftop that I learned Lin Yao Yao had always had a habit of secretly using other people's things. "What are you doing?" Lin Yao Yao screamed as she rushed over to stop me, but I had already pulled open her locker door. My sunscreen was sitting in the most conspicuous spot, and beside it was the pearl hair tie that had gone missing last week. The dorm room fell silent in an instant. Lin Yaoyao's face flushed bright red. "That's not yours. I bought it myself." I picked up the sunscreen and pointed to the mark I had made on the bottom with nail polish. "I made this mark so I wouldn't mix it up with someone else's." I picked up the hair tie again. "This one is missing a little pearl on it. It's the one I lost last week." Lin Yaoyao's lips trembled, and a flash of viciousness I knew all too well flickered in her eyes. In my previous life, she had looked at me with that same expression right before she killed me. I may have accidentally taken the wrong one." Her voice suddenly softened, and her eyes turned red. "Peach, I'm sorry, I've been too busy lately, and I might have mixed up your things with mine." The corners of my mouth curled slightly. If I were the naive me from my previous life, I might have softened and forgiven her, but now I knew this was just her performance. "It's okay," I said calmly. "Just remember to say something before using someone else's things next time." I took the sunscreen back and didn't say much. I neither swallowed my anger like I did in my past life, nor did I completely tear things apart. This delicate balance was something I had to master after my rebirth. I couldn't be too weak and let her bully me, but I also couldn't be too forceful and provoke her into extreme retaliation. I didn't want to repeat the same mistake. The whistle for the military training assembly sounded, and we hurried to the playground. The blazing sun was beating down, and I was thankful that I had found my sunscreen. In my previous life, I got sunburned so badly that my skin peeled off in a layer. It was agonizing, and Lin Yaoyao even mocked me, saying I looked like a lizard shedding its skin. "Stand at attention," a loud voice rang out, and our instructor made his entrance. Zhao Gang, the object of Lin Yaoyao's obsessive infatuation in my previous life, and also an accomplice indirectly responsible for my death. He was about 1.8 meters tall, with dark skin and regular features, and indeed had something of the distinctive vigor of a soldier. As his gaze swept over the line, many of the girls blushed, including Lin Yaoyao beside me. "Training officially begins today, but there's one more thing you need to know. In my unit, there is only obedience. Do you understand?" Zhao Gang's voice rang out, clear and forceful. "I understand." The students answered in unison. "Too quiet, I can't hear you." "I understand." This time, the response was deafening. Zhao Gang nodded in satisfaction and began explaining the basic requirements of military training. I noticed that his gaze lingered on Lin Yaoyao several times. It was the same in my previous life. Lin Yaoyao's delicate makeup really stood out in the military training lineup of bare-faced students. "Now, we need to choose an acting class monitor to help me manage the class." Zhao Gang's words made my heart tighten. In my previous life, he appointed me directly, because my standing military posture was the most standard. This honor drove Lin Yaoyao mad with jealousy, and from then on she targeted me at every turn. Everyone whispered among themselves, but no one stood up. At this moment, Chen Shui suddenly raised her hand. "I recommend you Tao." Her college entrance exam score was the highest in our class, Chen Shui added, giving reasons for recommending me. Several classmates chimed in, and my heart raced. This was not what I had expected. In my previous life, Zhao Gang had chosen me directly. Why had it turned into classmates recommending me this time? Zhao Gang looked at me. "You Tao, step forward." I steeled myself and stepped out of the line, my mind racing. I had to find a way to get out of this assignment, but I couldn't make it seem too deliberate. "Reporting, instructor, I might not be suited for this," I said softly. "Why?" Zhao Gang frowned. Too, an idea struck me, and I suddenly clutched my stomach and crouched down. My stomach really hurts. This isn't entirely pretending to be sick. I really was having stomach cramps because of nervousness. Zhao Gang's expression changed from stern to concerned. "What's wrong? Did you eat something bad?" I nodded weakly. "Maybe it was the milk I drank this morning." "Chen Shui, help her to the infirmary," Zhao Gang ordered, then swept his gaze over the class. "Is there anyone else willing to be the temporary class monitor?" Instructor, I can do it." Lin Yaoyao eagerly raised her hand, her voice sweet and sticky. Zhao Gang sized her up a few times and nodded. "All right, you, the rest of you, attention, we're starting training." Chen Shui helped me toward the infirmary. After leaving the playground, I let out a long sigh of relief. "Are you okay?" Chen Shui asked worriedly. "Much better. It was probably just acute gastritis." I forced a smile. "What a pity, you could have been the class monitor." Chen Shui said with regret. I shook my head. Lin Yaoyao is more suited for it, but inwardly, I thought this was exactly the outcome I wanted. I spent the whole morning lying in the infirmary, successfully avoiding the most grueling morning training. The doctor diagnosed me with mild gastroenteritis, prescribed some medicine, and sent me home. I slowly made my way back to the field and just happened to catch the noon dismissal. Lin Yaoyao strode along at the very front of the line, already acting as if she were the class monitor. Seeing me, she lifted her chin smugly. "Yu Tao, are you feeling any better? The instructor asked me to keep track of attendance. You're marked absent this morning." In my previous life, I would have argued and explained that it was the instructor who told me to go to the infirmary, but this time I just nodded. That's only right." My compliance seemed to surprise her a little. She froze for a moment, then became even more arrogant. "You can't skip this afternoon's training again, or it'll affect our class's score." "Got it, class monitor." I deliberately stressed the last two words, watching a satisfied smile appear on her face. At lunchtime, Lin Yaoyao deliberately sat near Zhao Gang, occasionally letting out exaggerated laughter. I carried my tray and picked the farthest corner, eating in silence. "Peach, why are you sitting so far away?" Chen Shui said as she sat down beside me with her plate. "It's quiet here," I replied briefly. Chen Shui lowered her voice. "Lin Yaoyao is way too obvious, isn't she? She keeps leaning all over the instructor." I picked up a piece of potato and put it in my mouth, without saying anything. In my previous life, I had also discussed Lin Yaoyao like this with Chen Shui. Later, somehow, these words reached Lin Yaoyao's ears, which led to Chen Shui also being targeted. "I think the instructor seems to really fall for her act," Chen Shui continued, her tone laced with disdain. "We'd better not meddle in other people's business," I said softly. "Hurry up and eat. We still have training this afternoon." The afternoon training was even more grueling. Standing at attention under the scorching sun left many of the students swaying on the verge of collapse. Zhao Gang was exceptionally strict, and even the slightest lapse would earn a loud rebuke. "Yu Tao, relax your shoulders." He suddenly walked up to me and shouted. I hurriedly adjusted my posture, my heart pounding like a drum. In my previous life, he rarely scolded me so directly. After all, I was the class monitor he had appointed, but now I'm just an ordinary trainee. And I even faked being sick to skip training this morning. "You, what's your name?" Zhao Gang stopped in front of Lin Yaoyao, his voice suddenly much gentler, reporting. "Instructor, my name is Lin Yaoyao," she replied in a sweet, sugary voice, though her stance was anything but standard. "Good posture, loud voice. Keep it up." Zhao Gang nodded, the corners of his mouth curling slightly upward. I watched it all with my own eyes and sneered inwardly. The script from my past life was playing out again. Only this time I was no longer the protagonist. The fate between Lin Yaoyao and Zhao Gang was developing according to the predetermined trajectory. After training ended, the classmates were all exhausted. Lin and Yaoyao, however, were full of energy. Circling Zhao Gang and asking him all sorts of questions, I silently packed up my things and prepared to leave, but was stopped by Zhao Gang. "Lin Yaoyao, you were absent this morning, so you'll have to add an extra half hour of training tonight." My heart tightened, but I still nodded. "Yes, instructor." Lin Yaoyao, standing nearby, wore a gleeful, malicious smile. "The class monitor can keep you company too, Taozi." She deliberately emphasized the words, class monitor. "No need, I can do it myself," I said calmly. At 7 in the evening, I was alone on the playground, practicing standing at attention in military posture. The early autumn night breeze already carried a chill, making goosebumps rise on my arms. "Hang in there. 10 minutes to go." Zhao Gang paced in front of me, his gaze stern. I gritted my teeth, my legs already trembling slightly. Suddenly, Zhao Gang's phone rang. He glanced at it, frowned deeply, and walked off to answer it. "I told you I'm working, don't be so unreasonable." "So what? It's none of my business." Although he lowered his voice, the night was quiet, so I still caught a few fragments of the conversation. I only learned after my death in my previous life that Zhao Gang was already married. Now, that information had become a trump card in my hand. Zhao Gang hung up the phone and walked back with a dark expression. "That's it for today. Dismissed." "Thank you, instructor." I gave a not quite standard military salute and turned to leave. Back in the dorm, Lin Yaoyao was excitedly telling her roommates about her great achievements as the class monitor. The instructor said I have strong leadership ability and asked if I'd be interested in joining the army, she said animatedly. Seeing me come in, she immediately raised her voice. "Oh, look who's back from extra training. Did the instructor give you any special attention?" I put down my backpack and said flatly, the instructor took a phone call and let me finish early. Lin Yaoyao asked curiously, "What call? Who was it from?" "I don't know. Seems like it was a private matter." I deliberately answered vaguely. Lin Yaoyao pouted and picked up her phone, seemingly ready to ask Zhao Gang to get to the bottom of it, but a trace of gloom flashed in Chen Shui's eyes. This reaction was interesting, and I smiled as I turned around. In my previous life, the female student who ended up with Zhao Gang was Chen Shui. Could it be that Chen Shui already knew that Zhao Gang was married, or was she simply jealous of anyone and anything related to Zhao Gang? During the next few days of military training, Lin Yaoyao and Zhao Gang grew increasingly close. She always found all kinds of reasons to stay behind alone and ask questions, and when she came back, she would brag about how especially the instructor treated her. The instructor said I looked great in my military uniform. One night, Lin Yaoyao spun around in the dormitory. He also said he'd treat me to a meal after the military training ends. "Really, just you?" Chen Shui asked in surprise. "Of course not," Lin Yaoyao said smugly. Glancing at me, he said I could bring a few classmates along. "Taozi, do you want to go?" 3. In my past life, I made my second fatal mistake here. I not only refused, but also seriously told her that instructors privately asking students out violated the rules, so this time, I chose a more tactful answer. "Thanks for the invitation, but I may have something to do that day," I said with a smile. "Have fun." Lin Yaoyao seemed very satisfied with my answer and no longer pestered me. She turned to the other roommates and started planning what clothes to wear that day, laughing and joking non-stop, but after she came back, Lin Yaoyao's expression was noticeably worse. Not only did she slam the door every time, but whenever she passed by the other roommates' desks, she would always, accidentally, knock something off. Later, I heard Chen Shui say that on the day they ate together, the instructor picked up food for each of them and thoughtfully escorted them back to the dormitory. Lin Yaoyao's jealousy is really over the top. The instructor was just being gentlemanly. When Chen Shui said that, I gave no response, not even a nod. The atmosphere in the dorm had been eerily strange for a full 3 days, until one evening after training ended, when we had all finished tidying up and were ready to go to bed. Only then did Lin Yaoyao return to the dormitory, beaming from ear to ear. "He confessed his feelings to me," Lin Yaoyao said, holding a bouquet of roses and a gift. The roommates all congratulated her, and even Chen Shui moved over to join in. I, meanwhile, pretended to be asleep already, making faint snoring sounds. Lin Yaoyao was in high spirits and didn't care whether I offered my congratulations. After all, Zhao Gang hadn't given me any special treatment. After showing off in the dorm for a while, she ran off to other dorms too, and it wasn't until the dorm supervisor aunt discovered that our lights were still on that she sneaked back in quietly. Military training was quickly drawing to a close, and the relationship between Lin Yaoyao and Zhao Gang had become public. She would openly wipe Zhao Gang's sweat and hand him water during training breaks, and Zhao Gang was especially tolerant of her, seldom criticizing her in front of others. The day before the final presentation, the evening drill was temporarily changed into a military training gala, supposedly to help everyone relax so they could be in their best condition for tomorrow's presentation. A simple stage had been set up in the center of the playground, and the surrounding lights illuminated the night as brightly as day. "Peach, look." Chen Shui tugged at my sleeve and pointed to the side of the stage. Lin Yaoyao was standing together with Zhao Gang. She was wearing a short skirt that violated the military training discipline, her makeup exquisitely done, and she looked especially dazzling under the lights. "They seem to be performing together," I said calmly, though my heart was in turmoil. There was no such gala performance in my previous life. It seems my rebirth has already triggered some butterfly effects. The host announced the next program. "Please welcome instructor Zhao Gang and classmate Lin Yaoyao from 3rd Company, 5th Platoon, performing a duet of A Little Happiness." The whole venue erupted into a round of cheering and applause. Lin Yaoyao shyly held Zhao Gang's hand and walked onto the stage. Although Zhao Gang had a stern expression, he didn't shake off her hand. The music started, and Lin Yaoyao began singing in a sweet, cloying voice, "I Hear the Raindrops Falling on the Green Grass." Halfway through, she suddenly turned to Zhao Gang, her eyes full of tender affection. When Zhao Gang sang the next part, he was clearly a little off-key, but the teasing cheers from the classmates below drowned everything out. When the two of them sang together, "It turns out you are the luck I most want to keep." Lin Yaoyao deliberately moved closer to Zhao Gang, their shoulders almost touching. "Give them a kiss, give them a kiss," several boys shouted from below, and the atmosphere on site grew so heated it was nearly out of control. I watched all this coldly from the sidelines, noticing that although Zhao Gang looked stern on the surface, his eyes were full of affection. Meanwhile, Lin Yaoyao was completely immersed in everyone's attention. When she reached the climax of the song, she even pretended to casually brush Zhao Gang's hand. So disgusting, flirting so openly. Chen Shui whispered in my ear, "Instructor Zhao is so fierce with us normally, but he's so gentle with her." I didn't respond, but I knew in my heart that this kind of public display of intimacy would only hasten their downfall. The rumor that the drill instructor had been dating a student only spread after military training ended, but in this life, Lin Yaoyao was being so brazen in front of the entire incoming class. Could she really see this through to the end? After the performance ended, Lin Yaoyao came running over to us, flushed with excitement. "How was it? The instructor and I coordinated pretty well, right?" "Awesome," several girls gathered around to flatter her, while Chen Shui curled her lip and said nothing. Lin Yaoyao suddenly shoved her little bag into my hands. "Taozi, help me hold this for a sec, the instructor needs me for something." Before I could respond, she ran toward Zhao Gang, who was talking with several leaders. "She really is treating you like a servant," Chen Shui said resentfully. I hefted the backpack. "It's pretty light, there shouldn't be much in it." As I was speaking, a ringtone suddenly came from inside the bag. Chen Shui and I looked at each other. "Is it her phone?" Chen Shui nodded. "I think so, but who would be calling at a time like this?" The ringtone kept ringing, and people nearby had already started looking over. I hesitated for a moment, opened the clasp on the small bag, and sure enough, there was a phone flashing inside. But it wasn't Lin Yaoyao's phone covered in flashy stickers and decorated with the latest trendy Labubu keychain. It was a black business phone. "This isn't Yaoyao's phone." I took out the phone, but the ringtone cut off. I pretended not to see the caller name that flashed across the screen for an instant, stuffed the phone back into the bag. "There'll be a missed call anyway." A flicker of probing light flashed through Chen Shui's eyes, and I caught it clearly. Holding the bag, I waited another 2 minutes, then pretended to be anxious and stamped my foot. "Why isn't she here yet? I'm dying to use the bathroom." "I'll hold it for you first. Go quickly and come back." Quickly. Chen Shui seemed a little impatient. After all, Lin Yaoyao had been gone for quite a while. "Okay, make sure you hold on to it, otherwise, when she comes back, she'll be yelling at both of us." After I finished my warning, I pretended to head to the restroom, but actually made a turn and hid behind a tree to observe. I saw Chen Shui quickly take out that phone, skillfully swipe to unlock it, and after flipping through it for a few moments, her expression changed from curiosity to shock. And in the end she even revealed an almost sinister smile. I knew a good show was about to start, for, by the time I came back, Chen Shui had already calmed down, and she handed me the bag. "They should be finishing up." Just as Chen Shui finished speaking, Lin Yaoyao walked over, her face unable to hide its smugness. "The instructor said I performed really well and wants to treat me to a meal alone after tomorrow's showcase." She took back her little bag, completely unaware of our unusual expressions. After returning to the dormitory, Chen Shui mysteriously pulled me onto the balcony. "Taozi, do you know what I saw?" I pretended to be bewildered. "What?" I saw. Just as Chen Shui was about to speak, there was a knock at the dormitory door. "Open the door, let me in, I forgot my keys." It was Lin Yaoyao's voice. I looked apologetic and went to open the door for her. As soon as she rushed in, she took out her makeup bag. "Today's spotlights were too hot, they ruined my makeup, I need to finish touching it up before I go over there." Lin Yaoyao carefully wiped away the smudged eyeliner in the mirror, while I turned to Chen Shui. "What were you just about to say?" Chen Shui shook her head. "It's nothing serious, we can talk about it tomorrow." I nodded, as if I really had no idea what was about to happen, and started getting ready for bed. That night, lying in bed and listening to Lin Yaoyao's soft laughter in her dreams, I imagined what might happen the next day and fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, on the day of the showcase performance, the sunlight was so scorching it could practically melt a person. The entire school's freshmen lined up on the playground, waiting to showcase the results of 2 weeks of training. I stood in the line, my eyes occasionally darting toward the school gate, waiting for the appearance of that key person. I heard there's a woman making a scene at the school gate, saying she's looking for her husband, one classmate whispered, passing along the news they had just heard, but the security guard said no outsiders are allowed in. "There are already enough parents here today. If they let any more people in, we won't even get to eat in the cafeteria." My heart raced, but I kept a calm expression. At this time in my previous life, Zhao Gang's wife should already have discovered her husband's infidelity. But in my previous life no one had guided her to come to the school and make a scene. "Are you looking for a teacher or a student?" Could it be an instructor? Someone gossiped. Shoo, keep your voice down. Halfway through the performance, I saw Zhao Gang looking anxious as he kept checking his watch. Suddenly, he walked over to the chief instructor and said something in a low voice, apparently wanting to leave early. Your class hasn't even started yet, and you want to leave? The chief instructor frowned tightly. Zhao Gang looked anxious, and it was clear he had been refused. Soon it was our class's turn to perform, marching in step, goose-stepping, changing formations. Our class finished the performance. Although there were some flaws, they did not detract from its overall excellence. On top of that, with a beauty like Lin Yaoyao leading the way, the cheers our class received were even louder than those of the other classes. By the time we returned to the playground and lined up, I noticed that Chen Shui, who had been at the end of the formation, had already disappeared without a trace. Zhao Gang once again left the formation, wanting to go find the chief instructor. Just then, I deliberately said loudly, "Instructor, don't leave yet. We still want to take a photo with you after the performance." Lin Yaoyao immediately chimed in, "That's right, instructor, don't rush off." Zhao Gang hesitated for a moment and hadn't said anything yet when a commotion suddenly broke out at the edge of the playground. A middle-aged woman in a red dress broke through the security guards and rushed in, her high heels striking the plastic track in an angry rhythm. Her gaze swept across the room like radar before finally locking onto Lin Yaoyao. "It's you, isn't it, that shameless homewrecker?" The woman strode straight toward Lin Yaoyao. Before Lin Yaoyao could even react, a loud slap had already landed on her face. A chorus of sharp gasps rang out through the room. "What are you doing?" Lin Yaoyao screamed, clutching her face, the slap mark rapidly swelling beneath her delicate makeup. "What am I doing?" The woman sneered, pulling a stack of photos from her bag and slapping them onto Lin Yaoyao. "When you were seducing my husband, why didn't you ask yourself what you were doing?" The photos scattered across the floor like snowflakes, all of them intimate shots of Lin Yaoyao and Zhao Gang, kissing in a corner of the training grounds, feeding each other in the cafeteria, and the most explicit one showed Lin Yaoyao sitting on Zhao Gang's lap, their lips locked, a silver thread stretching between them. Lin Yaoyao's face turned from red to white to green. Suddenly, like an enraged lioness, she lunged at the woman. "What do you think you are? Zhao Gang stopped loving you ages ago." The two instantly became locked in a scuffle. Lin Yaoyao grabbed the woman by the hair, while the woman seized the collar of Lin Yaoyao's military training uniform. Zhao Gang stood frozen in place, as if struck by lightning, unable to move. "Zhao Gang, are you just going to stand there and watch?" The woman roared between struggles, taking advantage of the moment. Lin Yaoyao slapped her back. "Old woman, Zhao Gang loves me." This slap completely enraged the woman. After all, she was more than 10 years older, and both her strength and fighting experience far surpassed Lin Yaoyao's. She caught Lin Yaoyao's wrist in a backhand grip, seized her collar with the other hand, then gave a sudden push and trip, sending Lin Yaoyao crashing heavily to the ground. "Ah!" Lin Yaoyao's shrill scream made everyone present involuntarily shrink their necks. The woman looked down at her from above. "You little brat, trying to fight me? Zhao Gang can lead the military training team only because of my brother's connections in the army. You think he really thinks highly of someone like you?" This sentence exploded across the room like a bomb. The students buzzed with discussion, and the school leaders' faces looked as dark as soot. Zhao Gang finally came to his senses and rushed forward to grab his wife. "Stop making a scene. Let's go home and talk." "Go home," the woman shook off his hand, tears in her eyes but with fierce resolve. "Zhao Gang, I'm telling you, we're getting divorced. We'll handle the paperwork tomorrow." After saying that, she turned to Lin Yaoyao, who had just managed to get back on her feet. "And you little bitch, just wait to be fired." Just then, Chen Shui slowly walked over from behind the crowd, wearing an exaggerated look of surprise on her face. "Oh my God, what happened?" I stood in the line, watching Chen Shui's over-the-top performance, and couldn't help laughing inwardly. Her timing was perfect. She showed up right when the conflict was at its peak, distancing herself from it while also being able to watch her masterpiece up close. Lin Yaoyao's hair was in disarray, the collar of her military uniform torn, blood still at the corner of her mouth, and it looked like she was about to lunge again at any moment. The school leaders finally stepped in and took Zhao Gang and his wife, along with Lin Yaoyao, away from the scene. The performance ended hastily, but everyone's attention was no longer on the show. "Oh my God, I never expected Instructor Zhao to be married. Lin Yaoyao is in trouble now. Seducing a married serviceman could get her expelled." The classmates were buzzing with discussion, while I stood quietly in the formation, my mind utterly calm. The tragedy of my past life was finally no longer my concern this time. 3 days later, the disciplinary results were announced. Zhao Gang was recalled by the army for handling. Lin Yaoyao received a major demerit, and the entire school was notified for criticism, and I, for the legitimate reason of tense dormitory relations, was approved to move to a better 4-person room. I thought things would end there, but I had underestimated Lin Yaoyao's desire for revenge. That evening,